Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar this evening. I say evening, actually it's about 4 in the morning West Coast time in the US. Actually at the moment I am in, where am I? I'm in beautiful Indonesia, in Jakarta. Heading to Europe here pretty soon. So I know people in Europe and Asia are still up. We got some people on, but this will be recorded if anybody is curious. And if you have questions at the end of this, I will answer any questions that you have, but I'll try to cover everything. So for those of you that are listening to this for the first time and just hearing about Bitcoin and BitClub Network, um, I have a lot to really share with you because Bitcoin is revolutionizing the way we use and think about money. And the potential for this is big, big. And when I say big, I mean could become bigger than the internet. And we're already seeing a lot of the smartest, richest people in the world investing literally hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin technologies. And so the first thing to really kind of explain what Bitcoin is Bitcoin is the world's first completely decentralized currency. What that means is there is no one that controls Bitcoin, no person, no company, no government. It's its own entity. The same as the whole entire internet, nobody owns or runs the entire internet. And 20, 25 years ago, it was actually very, very complicated to use the internet. You basically had to be a programmer just to be able to send an email. But now, because of companies like Gmail and Yahoo, Google, YouTube, Facebook, it's become easier and easier and easier to use the internet. And now basically everybody's on the internet. And Bitcoin's kind of the same thing. 5, 6 years ago, it was actually very, very complicated to use Bitcoin. You actually need to be a programmer. But now there's actually hundreds of different companies that are making it easier and easier and easier to use Bitcoin. And Bitcoin really is a new form of money, even though it's not attached to any country or government. It's really the money of the internet. And you can still, even though it's not attached to any government or country, you can still buy pretty much anything you can think of with Bitcoin. Doesn't matter if we're talking about plane tickets, hotel rooms, phones, computers, houses, cars, coffee, anything you can think of for the most part, you can buy it with Bitcoin and almost anywhere in the world. There's even Bitcoin ATMs where you can buy and sell Bitcoin right through the ATMs. In a lot of countries, you can pay your bills with Bitcoin. You can load your phone with phone time with Bitcoin. And a lot of companies actually give discounts if you use Bitcoin. So it's really starting to take off all over the world. Now, what you're looking at here on this screen is blockchain.info, and this is actually Bitcoin. So what you're seeing here is every single transaction happening in the world right now with Bitcoin. And this we call the blockchain or the public ledger, same thing. And you can see it's moving pretty fast. I think there's somewhere between 3 and 7 transactions on average every single day. So what we're used to with money right now, if we want to send money around the world or if we want to send money through the internet, is we have to use a third party, whether it's a bank to do a wire transfer or PayPal or a company like Western Union or MoneyGram. And first of all, with banks and PayPal and companies like that, you have to qualify for those things. And there's only about 1.5 billion people in the world that are banked, have a bank account, Visa, MasterCard. About 5.5 billion people in the world have no access to banking whatsoever. So first of all those people, they have all their assets basically in their house, all their cash. If they are robbed or there's a fire or a flood, or I don't know, a tsunami or whatever, it doesn't matter. They lose everything. Also, there's actually more people in the world that have a cell phone that has internet than have running water and electricity in their homes. Those people cannot do commerce. You can't put cash into a phone. So they can't do any kind of transactions through the internet. With Bitcoin, every single person in the world can now basically become banked, protect their assets, and be able to plug into the world economy and do commerce. That is huge for Bitcoin and for the world. It can help so many people. So where we're at right now is still the beginning. Now, with sending money through these third parties like banks and PayPal and Western Union, all of those companies charge fees. They deserve to charge a fee. They actually have set up, all of the stuff that it takes, like the servers and everything, to be able, to make all these transactions happen. And with Bitcoin, you can now do a transaction with a person or a merchant anywhere in the world. It'll be instantaneous, no questions asked, with basically no fees. When I say basically no fees, we're looking at about 2.5 cents for a transaction. And it doesn't matter if you're sending $50, $1,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million, $50 million. It's 2.5 cents basically. Now you could send it free, but it might take a while for the transaction to go through. 2.5 cents, it's almost instantaneous. So that's where Bitcoin can really change the world, because every single person has access to it and can use it for basically no cost. Now, with all these other companies, they own servers that make all of these things happen and are connected all over the world. And with Bitcoin, it's just a program, it's programmed. But you can see there's movement on here. So there has to be something powering Bitcoin. And the way Bitcoin is actually powered is through thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have their computers hooked into the Bitcoin network and are helping power the network. And that's actually called Bitcoin mining. And if you give me 1 second here, I'm actually going to pull up a page and show you what Bitcoin mining equipment looks like. Oh, I forgot. Whenever I change pages, it might cut me out for a second, so sorry about that. So I'll pull up and show you guys what Bitcoin mining equipment looks like. So this is a rack of Bitcoin mining machines. They're computers, but they're specially programmed just for mining Bitcoin. They're really not good for anything else except for mining Bitcoin. All right, so back over here to blockchain and watching all the things run by. So thousands of people have their computers hooked in there, but if there's basically no fees, the question is, what makes Bitcoin, like, why would people have their computers and spend money on computers and electricity if there's no money to be made? So for that, we actually need to go back to the very, very beginning, and I'm going to actually draw a little bit here for you. So January 3rd of 2009, I'm going to put January 3rd of 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto launched Bitcoin. And in the first 10 minutes, so in the first 10 minutes, one block of Bitcoin was created. And in that block of Bitcoin, there was 50 Bitcoin. 10 minutes after that, there was another 50 Bitcoin created in the second block. And 10 minutes after that, another 50. So in the first 30 minutes, there was actually 150 Bitcoin total in the entire world. That was it. There was no more. And then every 10 minutes, another block of 50 Bitcoin was created. And that kept happening for 250 210,000 blocks of Bitcoin. And at that point, it actually dropped in half to where a block of Bitcoin was now 25 Bitcoin. And every 10 minutes, a block came out. And on average, it's every 10 minutes, not exactly 10 minutes, but basically on average every 10 minutes. And that's where we are now. Every 10 minutes, 25 new Bitcoin are coming out. And it's going to keep doing that for about another year until July of next year. And then July of next year, it will drop down again to where it will be 12.5 new Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And then it'll keep doing that for another 210,000 blocks, about 4 years. And then it'll drop down to 6.25. And it's going to keep going in half and half and half and half for the next 125 years. And at that point, there'll be 21 million Bitcoin. Put 21 million Bitcoin total, and there'll be no more new Bitcoin after that. It will be what it is. It's not like a government that can just print more, print more, print more, print more. This is a set amount. So this was actually designed more like gold. It's really like digital gold. So all of this Bitcoin that is created every 10 minutes is actually given to the people that are involved in doing Bitcoin mining. Now, in the beginning, Bitcoin had zero value, absolutely none. And it wasn't about money, it was about an idea. Can we do a transaction, one person to another person, no middleman, no fees, no questions asked, instantaneously anywhere in the world? Can that work? And so there was only a few people that actually had their computers hooked into the network in the very beginning. And then on May 22nd, there was the first transaction. Give me a second here. May 22nd, 2010 was the first transaction. And there was a group of these programmers. They were on a chat room. And a guy says, I will give somebody 10,000 Bitcoin if you'll buy me a pizza. And that was, I believe, $25. And a guy in London, that guy was in Florida, a guy in London says, no problem, I'll buy you a pizza. What do you want? Where do you want it from? What's their phone number? What's your address? I'll get it sent right over. And so that was the first purchase done with Bitcoin. And it was actually 2 pizzas for $25. And that guy got 10,000 Bitcoin. So now we had a price. 10,000 Bitcoin for $25. And so now more people started saying, well, hey, I want some Bitcoin. I'll pay $25 for 10,000 Bitcoin. But you got to remember, Bitcoin's rare. So some of these guys were like, no thanks. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I'm good. So people started saying, well, what if I give you $50? What if I give you $100? And all of a sudden we got demand and the price starts going up. So it actually takes, let me erase this real quick. Give me 1 second here. Excuse me. So it actually takes about a little over 18 months. 18 months. Sorry, this pen is hard to work with when using a mouse. So it took a little over 18 months for the price to go from 0 to 10 cents. From 0 to 10 cents. Now it has been 5 years longer. It's been another 5 years since then. And now it has gone from 10 cents to about $230 for 1 Bitcoin. That is a multiple of 2,300. In other words, if you had bought $1 worth of Bitcoin 5 years ago, you'd now have $2,300. If you had bought $100 worth of Bitcoin 5 years ago, you'd now have $230,000. best investment for the past 5 years, period, end of story. There is no better investment in the world for the past 5 years. And there have been people that have made millions of dollars. Some of you might be going, okay, well, sounds like that was great 5 years ago, but we missed it. Not even close. Remember that Bitcoin can help every single person on the planet. We're talking about billions of people. Right now, there's only between 8 and 9 million people in the world that have a Bitcoin wallet. It's actually very few people. Now, I want to show you guys something here real quick. So far, up to date, right now, there have been 14,562,000 Bitcoin mined. That's how many is in the world. All of those Bitcoin, when they were created, went to people involved in Bitcoin mining. That's over $3.3 billion. 3.3 billion. Now, I did not know that this was going on. I didn't know that new Bitcoin was just being produced out of thin air and going to people involved in Bitcoin mining. Billions of dollars worth that you can use to buy anything you want. When I found that out, I was like, okay, I have got to become a part of this. And so I started doing all sorts of research and figured all of this out. And here we are. And BitClub Network's making it where every single person can get involved in Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. Now, I still got a lot more to explain to you, but I just want you guys to understand, no matter how much you fall in love with Bitcoin, I mean, I study Bitcoin every single day. I am passionate about it. It's all I think about for the most part. I dream about it. There's basically three ways of making money, and I'm going to show you this a little bit more in depth in a minute. There's basically three ways of making money in Bitcoin. Number one, come up with a really, really, really good idea for the whole Bitcoin ecosystem and be a programmer and be able to build that idea. Number two, be a big time investor and invest millions of dollars into some amazing programmer that has come up with a really great idea for the Bitcoin ecosystem. Or there's BitClub Network. Those are basically the options. Now, again, a lot of people think, well, I missed it. You haven't missed it, and here's why. This is CoinDesk. CoinDesk is a great site to learn anything about Bitcoin. If you go here, you can put your email address in and subscribe. They'll send you news stories every day, and there's tons and tons of stories. If you want to find out something about a country or a government or a this or a that relating to Bitcoin, you can just put it in that box, hit search. It'll bring up all the stories with those keywords in it. And under price and data, there's guides, events. I mean, there's lots of stuff going on. But under Bitcoin price and data, we're going to look at a couple things. First, I'm going to go to the network statistics. Also, when I'm changing pages, I'm going to try not to talk that way because I get cut off anyways. Under network Bitcoin network data, we're going to go down here to daily Bitcoin transactions. Okay, so I think you guys can see a pretty straight pattern here. By the way, there is our pizza, that first little blip right there. And then around the middle of 2012, you can see where it starts going. And this, look at these charts, 25,000, 50,000, 75,000. That's 100,000 transactions per day. So you can see the swing going straight up. It's growing. It's picking up momentum. People using Bitcoin. And again, there's only 8 or 9 million people right now, and the price is at $230 basically. I think everybody understands that if you have a certain demand for gold, and we'll say we have this much demand for gold, and we have this much new gold that comes out of the ground, you're going to have whatever the price is. if the demand stays the same for gold next month, but you have half as much new gold come out of the ground, the price is going to skyrocket straight up. With Bitcoin, it's a little different because with Bitcoin, our demand, because more and more people are getting involved with Bitcoin, our demand's going up, but our supply is always going to keep going down, half and half and half and half and half. When you have more demand and less and less and less supply, the price has to go through the roof. Now, if you just take 2% of the world's money, 2%, and put it into Bitcoin, one Bitcoin will be worth between $700,000 and $1 million. But what's really going to make mass adoption really happen is making it easier and easier and easier to use Bitcoin. And for that, and hang on, stop talking for a second. Okay, so to get mass adoption, it has to be easier and easier to use Bitcoin. And to do that, you need lots and lots and lots of companies that are making services and apps to help everybody. So this is a chart of venture capital, actual venture capital money being invested in the Bitcoin world. This is the date that these companies that are Bitcoin companies, this is what they do in the world of Bitcoin, how much money they raised in this round, this is what round of funding they're on, how much they raised total between all their rounds, and then the investors that gave them the money. This is overseen, like this is Wall Street money right here. So the main thing I want you to look at first is down here at the bottom. Year in, year out, how much is being invested? In 2012, it was only $2 million invested. 2013, $95 million. Last year, $361 million invested in Bitcoin startup companies. And just so far this year, over $400 million. So that's over $860 million. So let's look at a few of the people that are investing money. So here's BitPay. They raised $30 million on their first round of funding, total of $32.51 million. Sir Richard Branson, he owns Virgin Airlines. He even accepts Bitcoin for Virgin Galactic for the first flights going to space. The Winklevoss twins, they're really heavily into Bitcoin and Bitcoin companies. They already paid for flights on Virgin Galactic with Bitcoin. All right, let's look at a couple more companies on here. Give me a second here. I'll find you some of these good ones. Okay, so here's 21 Inc. They raised $116 million on their first round of funding. Their seed round, they got an extra $5 million. And basically, this group of people that gave them that $116 million are the people that started eBay, PayPal, and Google. Then you got Circle Financial. They raised $50 million on their third round of funding, total of $76 million. Goldman Sachs, number one investor right there. And then, actually, let's go down here. And then here's Coinbase, $75 million on their third round of funding, $106 million total. For the first time in the history of the New York Stock Exchange, they invested money with a company that's not listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Also, USAA Bank, one of the biggest banks in America. Also, BBVA Bank, one of the top 5 banks in Europe, I think, the largest bank in Spain. You can go through the lists on here and look at these names. We're talking about the richest, smartest people in the world investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a technology that virtually nobody knows about right now. Now, back here on blockchain again, and again, you can see all the transactions happening in the world live right now. But above it, what this is These are all the blocks of Bitcoin that are coming out, again, on an average of every 10 minutes. And you can see on here, like right here, it's been averaging a little less than 10 minutes. But if you click on one of these blocks, you can actually see who hit the block. And then you can see on here, newly generated coins. And then if you want to, you can actually click on that link. That's where it went. And this is their actual Bitcoin wallet where the coins go. So far, 63,158 Bitcoin went in there, and there's still 13,195 Bitcoin in that one wallet. Let's do some math on that real quick. So 63,000 Bitcoin, I'm not even going to worry about the 158, times $230 equals 14,490,000. And then 13,195 times 230 equals, so they still have $3 million sitting in that account right now. So you can actually track all of this. Now, if you're going, okay, well, BitClub Network, where's BitClub Network? No problem. All you gotta do is go down here to Mining Pool Stats. And it's kind of hard to see, but BitClub Network's listed right there. And if you scroll down here, you'll see BitClub Network. And these are just current blocks that have been hit. So if you click on BitClub Network, you can actually see which blocks BitClub Network hit. And also, just so you guys know, over here, we have bitclubpool.com. You can actually see it on here as well. So if you go, oh, sorry, forgot to stop talking. If you go to BitClub Pool and then click on Pool Stats, you can actually see the petahash that's running, and you can see blocks that we've hit. But if we go back over here, again, you can click on one of these blocks, and it opens up the block that we hit. And if you click on this hash right here, you'll see relayed by BitClub Network. And then again, you'll see newly generated coins. And then you can actually click on that wallet address. So if you go over here in this one wallet, you can see 3,812 Bitcoin have been in this wallet. And there's still almost 2,000 Bitcoin sitting in that wallet right there, which is a little less than $500,000 sitting in that wallet right now from BitClub Network. And you can see a couple big transactions, 234 Bitcoin, 500 Bitcoin. If you guys didn't know, BitClub Network, by the way, and I'll tell you where that Bitcoin went, buying more equipment. BitClub Network actually just bought the newest, greatest Bitcoin mining equipment that's just now coming out. It's actually called the S7. It's called Antminer S7, and they're on this first batch of S7s, and they're the most energy efficient miners on the market, period. There is nothing better right now. There's only 4 petahash that was made for the first delivery. BitClub Network bought 1 of the 4 petahash. So BitClub Network has 25% of the best miners that are on the market, period. And they're going to be lined up right next to, actually not those, it will be lined up right next to these right here, the facility in Iceland. So it'll actually be right here, right alongside all of these S5 amp miners. So that was just done. But again, what I'm trying to show you here is that all of this is open. It's trackable. I've never been involved with any kind of network marketing company where you had access to any of their accounts for any reason whatsoever. All right, so my point here, getting to where we're going, is that with Bitcoin, if you just buy Bitcoin right now, I personally think it's a great investment. If you look at the different people that are investing the hundreds of millions of dollars, most of them feel that the price of Bitcoin in the next 3 to 4 years is going to be about $10,000 for one Bitcoin. Now, if that's the case, if you were to buy Bitcoin right now and you bought, let's say, $3,600 worth of Bitcoin, you'd get about 16 and a half Bitcoin, something like that. In the next 3 to 4 years, if the price goes to 10,000, you'll be sitting on like $160,000. But if you take that same 3,600 and put it into Bitcoin mining, then 3 years from now, you could end up having anywhere from 25 to 100 Bitcoin. Now, if you only end up with 25 Bitcoin, it's better than having 16 Bitcoin, of course, but I think that's going to be probably on the low end. Ending up with 100 Bitcoin, we'd all have to get very, 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 very lucky. I think personally it'll be somewhere in the middle, 40, 60 Bitcoins, 40 to 60. And if that's the case, if we just look at the big spread, you could be sitting on $250,000 to $1 million 3 to 4 years from now if you're involved in Bitcoin mining. Those kind of numbers are not crazy. Remember the pizza, 10,000 Bitcoin for $25. That 25 now turned into $2.3 million. I've also met people that bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, forgot about it for 4 years, just completely forgot, reading an article and was like, oh yeah, I got Bitcoin, and sold it for $5 million. So it's already happened to lots of people. We only have a short period of time though, really 2 to 4 years. As soon as the price gets to $8, $10, $12, $15,000 for one Bitcoin, to get the multiples like we can have right now, because, and by the way, to go from $230 up to 10,000 is not that big of a jump. It's only like 41 or 42 multiple. Remember, we've had a 2,300 multiple jump the past 5 years. To go to 10,000, it's only like a 41 multiple. It's actually very, very small. But once that happens, to get that 41 multiple again, now you're talking about a price of $400,000 for one Bitcoin. That could take a long, long, long time to do. So every day when I wake up, I'm in a race to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. So that's why we're involved. Now, getting involved with BitClub Network, you don't have to be any kind of programmer or anything like that. Me personally, I have no clue how to mine Bitcoin. If you set all that equipment in front of me right here and said, all right, Russ, mine some Bitcoin, I couldn't mine one. I have no idea what to do at all. But if you gave me a piece of land and all the equipment I needed to mine gold, and you said, Russ, there's a couple thousand kilos of gold there, I got no clue how to mine gold either. But I can invest in a gold mine. They dig up the gold, they just give me my gold. Same with BitClub Network. I just invest in a Bitcoin mine. They mine the Bitcoin. They just give me my Bitcoin every single day. It's really that simple. Now, getting started, there's actually a few different ways you can get started. And let me go over here to our page. In fact, I'm actually going to go to the compensation plan page real quick. Give me a sec. Oh, it logged me out. Hang on. All right, so if we go in here, there's actually, am I on the, no, I'm on the wrong page. Let me go here to compensation plan, run through the comp plan for everybody real quick. So 3 ways of getting started. Now, first, there's $99 to join, and then pool number 1 is 500, pool number 2 is 1,000, pool number 3 is 2,000. Getting all three would end up being 3,599. And that's what we call a founder. And there's some extra benefits to being a founder. I'll go through that later. But you can get started for as little as $599 and start getting Bitcoin on a daily basis. Now, also, let me jump over here to the pool shares. I want you guys to understand that BitClub Network and all mining pools are always trying to buy the fastest, most efficient equipment possible. That's why it's such a big deal that we got basically a quarter of the most energy efficient equipment. And the energy efficiency is the most important when it comes to Bitcoin mining. And so everybody has to help chip in and always help buy the newest, best equipment out there. So with pool number one, every day, 50% of whatever Bitcoin is mined that is paid to you, you can pull out, it's yours. The other 50% goes in as a repurchase, but you're getting a partial share for that purchase. So now you're actually getting extra. Now, if you want it to grow where your shares grow faster, you can set it higher than 50% if you want, totally up to you. Also for pool number two, the $1,000 pool, that one is a 40% minimum repurchase, 60% you can pull out every single day. And then pool number three, 30% minimum repurchase, 70% you can pull out every single day. The others going back in to help you get more shares and help us buy the better, fastest, most energy efficient equipment. But what's going to happen is over time, you're going to get more shares. So when you start, you have 1,000 days for one share. And each share is worth 1,000 days. And as you get partial shares and they end up building up to where you now have a second share, when that second share happens, then you have a new 1,000 days on that second share. So let's just say hypothetically it took you 300 days to get to where you had a second share. So now your second share will have 1,000 days, your first share will still have 700 days remaining. Let's say now that you have two shares working, that it ends up taking only 200 days for all those partial shares to equal a third share. So now you still have 800 remaining on your second share and 500 remaining on your first share. Eventually, all your days will run out on your first share. It's okay. Still going to have 2, 3, 4, 5 more shares working for you. So this is literally pay one time and get paid for years and years and years. It's absolutely awesome. And what's really amazing about this, it's the only real passive program out there that can prove it. So in other words, what I mean by that, lots of passive programs out there where they're paying daily for people, even if you don't sign anybody up, if they don't have new people join, they can't pay that money out. So they all collapse. With this, if no new people join, it doesn't really matter because the equipment's already been purchased. It's mining Bitcoin. We're hitting blocks of Bitcoin. Everybody's being paid. Everybody's making repurchases. More new equipment is being purchased. It's mining more Bitcoin. So literally, this could be a closed loop with not even needing any more new people whatsoever. Now, of course, we're building a massive distribution channel for multiple income streams in the Bitcoin world. The mining is just the first revenue stream. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. And again, once you get involved, you're going to start getting paid every day. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, don't forget, over time, that price goes up to 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, $15,000 for Bitcoin. It's going to change some lives, some serious lives. All right, so let's jump back over to the compensation plan page. We're going to run through that, and then I'm going to tell you guys about a couple other things that are going on also. Hang on one second here. Excuse me. All right, so the first part of our comp plan, this is actually the small money, but I want to run through it real quick, is our binary. So anywhere in your downline where there's a 500 sale, that'll count towards 1 credit on your binary. 1,000 share actually will count as 2 credits. The 2,000 will count as 4 credits. Of course, if somebody signed up as a founder for all 3 pools, that would be a total of 7 credits. And the computer looks down your left side and down your right side, and every time there's 5 on one side and 5 on the other, you get paid $75 worth of Bitcoin. Now, the most you can cycle is 4 cycles a day, so $300 a day from the binary, but again, this is the small money. Also, every single time when somebody cycles and they make 75, their sponsor's going to make 5, their sponsor's going to make 5, their sponsor makes 6, their sponsor makes 6, their sponsor 7, their sponsor 7, their sponsor 7, their sponsor 7. 8 generations of matches for every cycle. Now, I'll explain what it takes to be a builder, pro builder, or master builder here in a second. What I want you to understand about this is most companies that have it where you have to qualify for matching bonuses, if you don't qualify, it's breakage to the company. With BitClub Network, there is no breakage. It just rolls up to the next qualified person. So you end up making pro builder and master builder, you can be picking up lots and lots and lots of matching bonuses through your organization. It can be really, really big. All right, so to become a builder, you need 5 personally sponsored people, help each of them to each get 2. As soon as you have done that, you are a builder for life, and you're going to pick up your 3rd and 4th generation matches, and there's a little bit of infinity override. We'll talk about that in a minute. To be a pro builder, you need a builder in 3 separate legs. They do not have to be personally sponsored. Do not have to be personally sponsored. On top of that, you need accumulation of $50,000 in group volume. Doesn't matter if it takes you 3 months or 6 months, doesn't matter. And then ongoing 10,000 monthly in group volume to stay qualified as a pro builder. To be a master builder, you need a pro builder in 2 separate legs and $250,000 in accumulated volume. Again, doesn't matter how long it takes. And then after that, 50,000 in monthly volume to stay qualified as a master builder. So that's what it takes to be there. It's not that hard to do. I mean, you guys can see here, I'm a master builder, but I actually have master builders in 3 separate legs of mine. So yeah, it's not that complicated to do. You'd be really surprised. Once you get this thing rolling, it's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about the big money here. So first, and this is actually called our level up bonus, first is Team 1. Team 1 is made up of your first 2 personally sponsored people, and you're going to make 10% for whatever they purchase and 10% on all of their repurchases. Your Team 2 is made up of your 3rd, your 4th, and your 5th personally sponsored people that you introduce. You're going to make 12% on whatever they purchase and on all of their repurchases. Then when they start bringing people in, of course, their first 2, they're going to make 10%. You're going to make the difference. That extra 2% rolls up to you. So on all of those people's first 2, through infinity, you're picking up 2%. Now we get to your Team 3. This is your 6th, your 7th, and your 8th personally sponsored people. Now you're at 15%. Whatever they purchase and all their repurchases. On all of those people's first 2 and their first 2 and their first 2, their first 2, you're picking up 5% through infinity. On all of their 3rd, 4th, and 5th personally sponsored people, and all of those people's first 5 through infinity, you're picking up 3%. It's massive, massive, massive. Now we get to team 4. Now the money really gets a little crazy. Now your team 4 starts from your 9th person on. And it doesn't matter how many people you sponsor. You could sponsor 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, 500 people, does not matter. And I'm just going to put this over here just so you guys can visualize this a little bit. All right, so on all of these people, from your 9th person on, from all of those people, on all of their first 2, and on their first two, through infinity, you're making 8%. On all of their 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and all of their first 5, through infinity, you're making 6%. On all of their 6th, 7th, and 8th people, and all of their first 8 through infinity, 3%. If any of those people get a 9th person and they end up being a rock star, that's okay. You're still making 2%. It's a really bad 2, sorry. You're making 2% on all of those people's first 8 through infinity. 2%. If any of those people sign up a rock star, that's okay. Still making 1%. And 1% on all of their first 8 through infinity. If any of those people sign up a rock star, that's okay. Still picking up 1%. And 1% on all of their first 8 through infinity. If any of those people get a rock star, all right, then you're blocked. But we even have more money on top of that. On top of all this, there's infinity overrides. So when you become a builder, you get an additional 1% on top of all of this. When you become a pro builder, you get an additional 1%, so 2% now. When you become a master builder, you get an additional 1%, so now you're up to 3%. So you could be getting an extra 1 to 3% on top of all of this money. Let me just give you an idea. 3% of $3,500 is $105. Just on the 3% override, I make $105 on multiple people a day that are 10, 12, 15 generations below me, and I have no clue who they are. It's a great feeling. So this can be huge, crazy money here. All right, give me a second. Let me erase all that. And there's the generational overrides. And you don't just get it on your open line, but actually if you get builders and pro builders and master builders below you, you still get paid below them a couple generations. So this is huge. And there's also bonus pools that are also leadership bonus pools also, but you need to have $1 million downlines. And there's actually quite a few people that have already qualified for these. So yeah, this is going extremely well. So let me tell you about a couple quick things. One of them is BitClub Network is starting our own cryptocurrency. Now, once it's launched, then it's really not BitClub Networks anymore. It's the whole world. And it will be listed on the exchanges. And for those of you who don't know what an exchange is, and I always try to stop talking while I pull up new pages because it cuts me out anyways. So Cryptsy, this is one of many exchanges. And if you remember earlier when I showed you coin market cap with Bitcoin up top here, Bitcoin is open source. So you can review all the lines of code in there. There is no guessing. And so programmers actually can go in, copy the code, make a few changes to it, and then start their own cryptocurrency. And there's actually hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of legitimate cryptocurrencies. And there is a handful of complete scam, fake cryptocurrencies. To tell if one is a complete scam or not, all you got to do is go to coinmarketcap.com and just look on here to see if that coin is listed on here. And then also, if it's legitimate, you should be able to go to Cryptsy or Bitrex or one of the other cryptocurrency exchanges and be able to trade it between different currencies. So on here you can see trade cryptocurrencies, trade over 200 different types of cryptocurrencies. So BitClub Network actually has its own, and let me see if I can show this to you real quick here. All right, so now you should be able to see the Club Coin wallet. So I actually have this wallet on my desktop. Been helping kind of play with it and find bugs. So you'll have your own address, same as you have a Bitcoin wallet address. You can create new addresses, copy an address, sign a message, verify a message. You can send Bitcoin, see transactions, set up an address book, got a whole dashboard. There's also settings, encrypting the wallet, change password, debug the window. Like, there's a lot of different things. One thing that's a little bit different with Club Coin than with Bitcoin is that this is proof of stake. So you can see on here stake, and right now this is at a sync. It's a long story. I don't want to confuse anybody, but you can stake your coins and get more coins every 5 minutes. It's not like Bitcoin where you have to buy mining equipment. This is your coins are being used as votes to verify transactions, so you can get more coins. If you don't have a lot of coins, then BitClub Network is actually going to have our own pool for Club Coin. Now, BitClub Network is going to have really big orders in on all the exchanges. And give me 1 second here. So BitClub Network is going to have really big orders in on all the exchanges for Club Coin at 5 cents. So every single person that signs up with BitClub Network, whatever package you buy for the mining, you're going to get 1 Club Coin for every single dollar that you spent. So in the beginning, if you only come in for $5.99, you'll have 599 Club Coins. If you come in for the 3,599 package, then you'll have your 3,599 Club Coins, plus the extra benefit is you'll actually get 7,000 extra coins. Now, that is going to be gone for sure in the next 2 to 3 days. There will not be any more of that special founder promotion in 2 or 3 days. After that, we'll have what's called Founder 4, and you'll still get your 3,599 Club Coin if you come in as a founder, plus you will get an extra 3,500, so half as much as Founder 3. Still a great deal. So there's a lot of people that I know that are going to be wanting to buy as much Club Coin as they can, because BitClub Network does not sell it. We give it away to everybody. If you want to buy it, you're going to have to go on Cryptsy or Bitrex, deposit Bitcoin, and then buy it from people in BitClub Network that want to sell their Club Coin, which I don't think there's going to be very few. I don't think there's going to be very many, I mean. And the reason is because if you think about Bitcoin, and if you could have got Bitcoin 5 years ago for 10 cents, how much money would you have right now? So if somebody wants to sell their Club Coin for 5 cents or 6 cents or 7 or 8 or 10 cents, there are plenty of buyers that want it, because the potential for Club Coin could easily be $2, $5, $20, $50, because BitClub Network is doing a lot of different things to create a market for Club Coin. One thing that we're building is a merchant platform where all of our members will be able to go out, sign up merchants to accept Bitcoin and Club Coin. Now, they'll be able to accept Bitcoin and Club Coin for basically no fees. I mean, we're basically just going to ask for 1% cash back. And that 1%, almost all of it will actually get paid to the person that signed up that business and to the upline. If a business would like us to market and advertise to our tens of thousands of members in BitClub Network, then we can do that for them, no extra charge. We just ask, number one, for 5% cash back. Again, that'll be paid out. And then also for them to offer a discount, 5, 10, 15% to our members. We'll advertise that discount to help bring them new customers. So for a business that normally spends money on advertising and sometimes gets no new customers from it, now they'll be able to get new customers just from giving discounts. So the way they will know it's our members pay with Club Coin. So that means if somebody wants Club Coin, they have to go to an exchange and buy it. Now on Cryptsy, you can buy, like do an exchange for Bitcoin to Club Coin, and it's going to cost about 1/4%. So to get $100 worth of Club Coin, it'll cost you about 25 cents. It's nothing. But if you could then save $10 or $15 at these different businesses that accept Club Coin, we're talking about creating huge, huge demand here. So that could really push Club Coin up to $1 in a year, or $2 or $3 in a year, maybe $5 or $10 or $15 in 2 years. But what could be really crazy is that most of these cryptocurrencies all kind of tie to Bitcoin. So every time Bitcoin takes a big jump up, everything just kind of follows right along with it. If Bitcoin goes to $10,000 for one Bitcoin, it's not unrealistic to think that Club Coin could end up being $50 or $100 or $200 or $300 for one Club Coin. I think that's actually very realistic. So all of us that are involved right now have such huge potential for the future coming up. I can't even tell you. And that's why we have so many people that are just out of their mind in love with BitClub Network right now, because there's never been a true money-making, idea with this much potential as anything I've ever seen. And from people that I'm talking to that have made millions of dollars in network marketing, they've never seen anything that has this kind of potential. So we're really, really, really in the right place at the right time. And also we have Bitcoin ATMs. Those are happening right now. About to take delivery of 5 ATMs, already 2 we already have running. The other 5 are going to be delivered here very shortly. Once we have all 7 up and running, then we're going to sell shares for those 7 ATMs. That's going to be for founders only. It'll be $1,000 for a share. The math that I'm doing, basically, I think a share is going to pay somewhere between $100 to $200 a month, because it's all based on fees. So it's going to basically be 5% buying and selling Bitcoin through the ATM. And if a machine is doing about 50,000 a month, or if all the machines are averaging about 50,000 a month in and out, then you're looking at about $100 a share. If they're averaging 100,000 a month in or out, which I think that's really where it's going to be close to, then we're talking about $200 a month. Just think about this for a second. How much would you be willing to pay for a $200 a month residual income? I know I would be willing to pay more than $1,000. And so that's why this is for founders only. It's very limited. Of course, we will add another 5, another 5, another 5. But if it really is paying that, $150 to $200 a month as a share from the fees, then we're talking about there'll be a waiting list. Like, it'll never be, okay, it's open. Like, they'll be sold before it's even announced. So that's exciting also. We also have another platform that we're working on. You can actually go play with this if you want to. It's actually called BitLife. Let me pull it up here real quick, bit.life. And so bit.life is very similar to Yelp if you've heard of Yelp. Oh, hang on, let me wait for it to come up. Hang on, it's loading. Okay, it's loading really slow. It'll be up in a minute. It's just loading slow. My internet's kind of slow here. But my whole point, I hope you guys can hear me right now, is that with BitLife, we have plans to bring on lots and lots and lots of advertisers onto BitLife. And we're working on the phone app for this. Oh, I forgot to mention, we're also working on the phone app for ClubCoin, and the whole blockchain explorer for ClubCoin. So you'll have a web page for that. We also have a web page already done for ClubCoin that promotes it to the world. BitLife will be a phone app that anybody anywhere in the world can download. And this is just all going to be about Bitcoin. Exchanges, ATMs, mining, services, restaurants, shopping, travel, hotels, health and medical. You can go on, leave reviews, leave comments, all sorts of different things like that. It's going to be very interactive. And if you look at a company like Yelp that's very similar, they make between 10 and 12 million dollars a month in advertising. So our plan for this is to really build this up huge. And again, this is just the framework of it. It's not done. This is just the framework. We got a lot of stuff that's about to start happening to this. We're going to be adding in a few thousand businesses, like preloading a few thousand businesses that already accept Bitcoin. And then we're going to start advertising and marketing this all over the Bitcoin world and get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users from around the world all plugged into BitLife. At that point, we can start selling advertising. When we sell advertising, basically all BitClub Network's going to do is take probably about 80% of all the revenue and put it into the mining pools. And it'll just be more payout. So now payouts from the mining pools won't just come from mining Bitcoin, it will also come from advertising dollars in BitLife. So yes, there are other Bitcoin mining pools out there. None of them pay referral commissions like BitClub Network does, but we're going to make it where we're just going to crush everybody. We'll pay out more than any other, like by far than any other mining pool, because we're going to also subsidize it with different things like this. And there's even more things that BitClub Network's working on. So again, BitClub Network doesn't need any more new people, but the bigger the distribution channel is, the more and more things that we can put Bitcoin related through the distribution channel. Now, everybody that's on here, the number one thing I want to get through to everybody is that I've been talking for an hour. I've given you a lot of information. The one thing I will promise you is a small fraction. I promise this is minimum 10 times better than you even realize right now. As good as whatever I explain, what you are able to pick up, as great as this sounds, I promise you it's way, way, way better than what you know right now. So much more. And so I hope you guys got something out of this webinar. If anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I would love to answer questions. I know most times after I go through everything, people are just kind of like on overload because it's a lot of information. Just remember, there's nothing in the history of the world to really compare Bitcoin to. It's kind of like a mix between the internet and gold, but it's really nothing like gold and it's really nothing like the internet, but it's kind of a cross between gold and the internet, and how the whole thing works and runs. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. And again, if you guys have any questions, throw them at me. I am ready, and I see no questions, but I would love to answer some if you guys have some. No? All right. I'll give it a second here, see if anybody thinks of any. And also, by the way, I appreciate you guys coming on such short notice. Oh, I haven't seen we got Burned on here. How you doing, Burn? I'm heading to Europe here in a couple days, and it's probably going to be about 3 weeks or so, and I'll be over there in Austria and Germany. Byrne has a question. Is there any restrictions from the very invasive states, Western Europe? Actually, oh, and that's from Jens. No, there's really, no restrictions from anywhere because everything is in Bitcoin with BitClub Network. So everybody has to buy Bitcoin and then join and pay using Bitcoin. And then everybody gets their commissions paid in Bitcoin. So there are no wire transfers that are taking place, no paychecks or debit cards or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, BitClub Network has a debit card but it's with another bank, but that's a Bitcoin debit card, and that should be coming up here in the next day or two for people to order again that would like to get it. But yeah, there's no restrictions for anywhere in the world. Anybody can participate. I mean, Bitcoin is borderless, and really that's what this is, are no borders. I mean, there's people in BitClub Network from literally all over the world, probably about 80 countries, something like that. I think it's actually probably about 75 countries. So any other questions? That was a good question. No other questions? Alrighty, everybody. Well, I appreciate you. Oh, here we go. Louis, thank you. How soon can we have this webinar again? Great presentation. Thank you so much, Lois. I never know if I'm supposed to say Lois or Louise. So I appreciate that. Yeah, as soon as this is done, I'll start getting it, whatever they call it, on GoToMeeting. You still spelled it the same, Lois or Louise. I don't know which way to pronounce it. It's all right. It's okay. Doesn't matter. I appreciate it. But yeah, this will get done, and I'll get it up for everybody. So, all right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming on last minute. I want to get a webinar recorded. In the next couple of days, I'm going to be flying to Europe from Asia, and it's going to be like 24 hours of flying. And then I'll be touring all over, just everywhere. Germany, Austria, Ireland, London, UK. I think we're going to Cyprus, Portugal, Poland. Where else am I going? Maybe a couple other countries also. But yeah, we're going to be in a lot of different. Oh, I think we're going to Switzerland also. So yeah, we're going to be touring all over the place in Europe. And definitely get with your upline, somebody that knows me, that follows my Facebook, and I will have my, where we're going to be at listed on there. Usually only a couple days notice. Where in Germany? Actually, all over Germany. Myself and David, we're going to be renting a car for 2 weeks, and I think that we plan on hitting about 7 different cities, maybe 8 different cities, all through Germany, and of course, Graz, Austria, and Vienna, Austria, and then I think also, I forget what the capital of Switzerland is. Don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but I know we got people there also that we're going to do a meeting for. So I don't know exactly what cities, but the big ones. You can always get with David. I'm sure you're in David's organization. He can tell you. So, all right, everybody, if no more questions, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you guys on the next webinar. So have a good one.